Greetings, everyone. DFG here, Gideon's Flight. Hey, guys. Hope you guys are having this early morning here. So I'm hoping that maybe your morning has started off energetic. I hope you've gone before Yah, talking to Judah here. Hope you've gone before Yah and acknowledged His presence. Acknowledged the gift of life that He's given you for the work that still remains to be done by you, by myself, by the people of the Most High, because we are in a battle, a real battle this time, guys. And I'm not talking religion. I'm not talking that silliness, that foolishness, that you hear in these synagogues, temples, and so-called church houses. I'm not talking about that silliness. And we're in a battle with the devil. No, we're not in no battle with the devil. We're in battle with wickedness, as Ephesians told us. Spiritual rulers in high places, principalities. Darkness. We're in a real wicked battle as a people. So let's let the devil alone today. The devil got enough problems to deal with, on what's going to be coming to him. So we can just let Satan go over there and take his ass whipping without us adding to his problems. All right, because the whole system is our problem. I'm talking about this earth system, this planet system, this American system. And I'm going to bring this forward with using some word to back up, what I'm saying. But here I'm going to circle this thing for us, guys. I'm going to start at a particular beginning for this particular message. Then I'm going to circle back, Judah, on the beginning of this message. So stay tuned. Hear the whole thing. I did a message a couple of days ago, and, I should have reminded you guys in that message to listen to the very end of it, because it really talked about, Paul and some things that Paul was saying in regards to us. And this video is a little dark. Don't worry about that. It ain't about looking at me. It's about hearing what I'm saying. So just, you can turn your head, just turn up the volume. But in that particular video, I was sharing that, at the very end of that message, there were some very profound things that were written in the book for you to hear, for me to hear, for us to, revelationary things, if that's a word, things that were very revealing to us, Judah, okay? More importantly, to you, me, the Hebrew Israelite. All right, so in this message, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to circle back for you, but let's start right now. When you start thinking about what was going on about a year ago, can any of you guys remember what was the big conversation 1 year ago, approximately? If you've forgotten, let me remind you. It was taking a stand against voting and saying that if you guys wanted our votes, we were talking about Esau Edom, this system of government, these principalities, rulers of darkness. If you wanted our votes, Democrats in particular, then you needed to have, not only do you need to bring the conversation to forward around reparations, but we need to see a true actionable plan around reparations. In corporate America, we have an acronym called SMART planning. SMART, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic timeline goals. So what we were saying a year ago, we needed to see your SMART plan, America, your government system, you politicians who wanted the vote of the so-called African American. What was your plan for reparations for us, to restore us, to make us whole for all the thievery that you have done for the last 450 years in this country against our ancestors and their descendants, even up to this point with mass incarceration, massive poverty, trying to enforce, a vaccine on us by making us the target of a lying disease, a lying pandemic that if you haven't figured out by now, it's only because you're still maybe suffering for losing someone that you were told that died of a disease that really they were ill with something else, and that disease was just in their bodies, like it's probably in all of our bodies, something about COVID. All of us probably got some strain of COVID. What they did was manipulated the numbers and told you that your loved one died of COVID. Wouldn't let you come into the facilities, so-called hospitals, the debt camps now these days. At least that's how some of us see it. Wouldn't let you come in. So you couldn't monitor what they were doing. Never told you what they were going through inside of these houses of debt, so-called hospitals. That they were leaving some of these men and women in these places who in years past they would have treated and did everything in their power to help them recover. This time they didn't. But they couldn't have any witnesses to their crime. They couldn't have any witnesses, so they told you, oh, we can't have you coming in because you're just going to make them sicker. But when they want you quarantined, they want you quarantined in the house with everybody else. Or when, okay, I'm not going to drift off too far. But the conversation was about reparations a year ago. Then all of a sudden, COVID comes in, and then we're talking about a pandemic. Then on top of COVID, when, that comes in, then all of a sudden, we start seeing all this, I mean, they've been killing our men and our women, but we start to see a massive attack against our people. And then we start seeing, Black Lives Matters. All of a sudden, all Esau, Edom is Black Lives Matters now. All of a sudden, they want, we care about your life. We care about your life. What part of our life do you care about, Esau? I'm asking. Esau, this is your question if you chose to listen into this video, if you're minding our business. As you always do, we can't have a conversation without you walking up. I was listening to what you were saying, and I thought that was so interesting. Guys, that's happened to me on my little walks, my health walks. That's happened to me 2 times in the last 2.5 weeks. Esau, Edom, so-called white people, I'm in a conversation or talking, and they get and inquire about the conversation. I heard you talking. I was just thinking about what you were saying. And I was like, how interesting. How often do we go and stand and listen to what Esau is talking about? We don't, because most of what Esau is talking about to us is foolishness. How 2 men and how men should love children. And now, as you know, in California, they're about to pass this law saying that if you're 10 years older, if you're less than 10 years older than a juvenile, you can have sex with that juvenile. You can have intimate relationship with that juvenile. In case you guys haven't heard that. But Esau conversations about perversion, and we're not interested in their perversion and their greed and their lust. The scripture says the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. That's Esau and all of his constituents, talking about the rest of those groups on this planet. Similar to them in complexion, but different in figure. From the Asian to the Australian to the African, etc. But so we're not interested in their conversation, but they're constantly interested in our conversation. The question is why? If you're so interested in our conversation, why? First of all, why are you interested in our conversation? Do you have any intentions to do something to bring our grievances forward, or are you listening so you can sabotage it? I'm here to tell you this morning they were listening to sabotage it, and they're still doing all these acts to sabotage the movement. What movement? The reparations movement. As you know, now they're not even talking about it. What happened to the conversation? The conversation shifted. Even you loyal Democrats, you Judah, you Hebrew Israelites who are so loyal to the Democrats that doesn't matter who's a Democrat, no matter what their crimes have been against our people, you're going to stand with them because in your incorrect thinking, I'm going to be kind, in your incorrect thinking, you think that the lesser of evil means it isn't evil at all. In other words, you accept evil conditionally. In other words, you accept wickedness conditionally from the enemy, but you would never accept that from your friends and your family members or your lovers or your spouses. I can assure you, most of you who accept the lesser evil from the enemy, Esau and his constituents, you would never accept the lesser evil from the man or the woman that you lay down and sleep with every night. If that man or woman caused some great offense to you, you would and explain that, well, I didn't want to do this, so I did that, even though I know it was a terrible decision to make. So go ahead and accept it. It's the lesser of the 2 things. I mean, I could have did that, right? You would never accept it. Your forgiving spirit would never even show up. But again, I digress. Let's get back to the subject matter at hand. So now you all of a sudden, when our people started bringing up reparations, now all of a sudden everything is about everything about you, but nothing is truly about restoring you, Judah. Think about it. Everything's about you, but nobody's talking about restoring you. In essence, I guess they say, well, let's just stop killing them. At least let's stop being so obvious about what we're doing. Let's listen in on what they're saying, and then let's come up with some conniving, clever way to charm them away from what their true issue is. And that's poverty. It's a lack of resources, a lack of wealth, a lack of identity, a lack of who we are. Let's not deal with that. When some of these men and women brought forward that we were the true so-called Jews, which we aren't, With Hebrew Israelites, Jew is a term that was made up by the enemy to whitewash our history and steal it and make it theirs. You know, so so when our men and women started bringing that forward, all of a sudden, oh, no, y'all got it wrong. You got it wrong. Black life matters. Oh, no, we can't talk about reparations. Black life matters. Oh, we can't talk about reparations. You know, Joe Biden cares about you, even though he was the main author of the so-called Biden law, the Biden bill, locking your asses up and your children's asses up and throwing away the key. Oh, and his cohort, his Robin, Batman Robin, or his Robin is, oh, let's keep them in prison because if we let these men out of prison, even though our prison is overpopulated by 200% in California, if we let them out of prison, Kamala Harris, if we let them out of prison, who's going to do the work? In other words, who's going to keep them on the plantation? If there was ever a house nigga, that's it. Think about it. Like Malcolm told us, our brother Malcolm said, "What the house nigga when the master's house caught fire, they would run and try to get water to put it out." Like Malcolm said, when the plantation owners were sick, you know, the house nigga would walk in there and say, "What's wrong? What's wrong, master? We sick." See, that's your Kamala Harris. That's your agent of chaos, disguised, as you heard me say, a wolf in sheep clothing. But because Judah is blinded, because Judah has turned away from who Judah is, Judah still rejects it. And when these men tried to bring it forward, a lot of Judah stepped back and said, "Oh no, it ain't about that. It ain't about that. Y'all taking it too far. We're taking it too far." But the Jews have enriched themselves, so the false Jews have enriched themselves by taking our title and placing it upon them. They have become billionaires. One of the richest countries on the planet, Israel. Most powerful militaries in the world, Israel. And you're still using your tax dollars. They're getting our tax dollars, Judah's tax dollars, I might add, by the billions every single year for no other cause, but it's just the right thing to do. Let's keep them restored. You know, let's make sure they have everything that they need. But when it comes down to you and I saying, what about our reparations? You and I are some of the same ones saying, oh, I don't want to have no, it ain't about that. It ain't about that. Well, if it's about that for the ones who stole your identity, can you explain to me why it shouldn't be about that for those who truly should have gotten that wealth and should be receiving that wealth to a total of about $7 trillion right now? And that debt is still ticking. And Yah's going to judge them. Why do you think all these things are going? Why do you think Yah is destroying their economies, guys? Why do you think Yah's putting them in the poorhouse, many of them? Why do you think Yah's got some of them blowing their brains out or ODing on opioids and everything else you can think? Why do you think that's happening? You think that's coincidence? No, it's judgment. Yah going to slow walk them to the destruction of this place. For you and I, what does that mean? That means that if we don't let our knowledge be increased, if we don't let the Ruach, they call Holy Spirit, continue to guide us and open up our eyes and ears so that we can see and hear, then we're going to fall off that same path. Because it was Yeshua who said, if the blind lead the blind, they will both fall into the ditch. They're blind and many of Judah is blind. And you can tell they're blind because they'll take the lesser of two evils, as you heard me mention a moment ago. They'll vote for two wicked devils who have done everything in their power to destroy your brothers and your sisters through re-putting them back on the slave plantation. Because that's all the prison system is, guys. The slave plantation morphing into the prison industrial complex. Go read the 13th Amendment. You are free from slavery unless you commit a crime. And if you do commit that crime, you are going to be put back in slavery. That's why most of your prisoners are black and brown people, so-called blacks and Latinos. They just re-imprisoned us. And for those who are not in prison, they got us on jobs where you might as well be in jail. But with the penance that you're making compared to what they get, how can you be, working as hard as any other man working, but you go back and look at the income gap? It's ridiculous. Elizabeth Warren, that devil even brought that out about 2 years ago, the wealth gap between the household income between so-called white and black families, Esau and Edom. Esau, Edom versus Judah. Even she brought that forward. She didn't do anything about it. She was just talking, again, a distraction to beguile you as Satan beguiled Eve in the garden. Go back and read Genesis 3. You'll find it. The most subtle beast. Esau Edom is one of the most wicked, slick, smooth talking, charismatic, double talking, snake, serpent, beast that Yah ever created. Or you say, man, you're being mean. You're being mean, DFG. I just quoted to you Genesis chapter 3. Yeah, I'm going to ask y'all to keep me on track here. I want to take you. So we're going to come back to this, I promise, okay? Y'all willing, all right? Watch this. Because, you know, the rule told me I need to just go do this real quick because, oh, some of you guys, you're just going to attack the word. You're going to attack me for the word's sake. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But you can, when you're attacking this word, you ain't attacking me. Talking about you, Judah, by the way, and Esau, if you're listening in. You ain't attacking me. You're attacking the Most High. Let's go right here. Let me go. I told you, Genesis chapter 3. It's going to be quick. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1. Now the serpent, and this is not talking about some snake rolling around the ground. This, if you know anything about the serpent, this is a conversation going on between a man or this serpent who must have been man-like, human-like. Remember we talked about in 2 Corinthians 11 and 14 how Satan had transformed himself into an angel of light. Remember that? Right? So this was a human-like thing, but this was Satan, Lucifer, the fallen one. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. And that's why when you hear us talking about calling them beasts and dogs, because Yahweh called them beasts and dogs. So we're not being mean, we're just being truthful. It's a difference. That's the scripture. You hate me because I tell you the truth. Now the serpent was the most subtle beast of any, was the most subtle than any beast of the field which Yah had made. And he said unto the woman, and he, see, look at that word. The opposite word is he. He like in human like. He. It didn't say it. It said he said unto the woman, thing is speaking. You know any snakes walking around here talking? Talking about the one that are slithering on the ground? If you do, you probably need to go get some mental assistance. When you read this serpent, this was not some laying on the ground. It was the beast. It was that beast-like thing, looking like us, but not us. And they're all over this earth. Billions of them. Billions of them. And he said to the woman, had Yah said, you shall not eat of every tree in the garden? See, that's the slickness. He's always asking these questions to try to figure out what you're thinking. As I said, the two incidents that I had, I overheard what you said. See, that's how you know they're the serpent people. That's how you know they're the beast. And that's how you know they're cunning and slick. Because as he was eavesdropping on the conversation between Yah, Eve, and Adam, or probably Eve and Adam, but repeating the conversation that Yah had with Adam, look at the question he's asking. So he wasn't listening. As Esau today is, Esau is not listening to help us. Esau is listening to entrap us, to keep us in this condition of perpetual poverty and slavery. Because he knows that the only way for this system of government to exist, they need slave labor, mainly in the prisons, and then outside of that, these low what we would call jobs that just perpetuate poverty. In other words, you can never get ahead on amenities, jobs, J-O-B, just over broke, opportunities, for lack of a better word, that they have most of our people stuck in. And we're there because we won't have the conversation, because through the slickness of Black Lives Matters, through the slickness of coronavirus, through the slickness of the lesser of two evils, we have walked away from what Yah told us to stay focused on. Them paying the debt that they owed to you from the labor of your ancestors, the robbery and the thievery of your ancestors, and the robbery and the thievery that's going on with you right now, and the wealth that was stolen from you even in the last decade. Talking about through redlining, redistricting, and these other programs that they put in place to keep you from having access to wealth. Yes, you heard that correctly. So now what they have done, they've been clever. Like Esau told Eve in the garden, you shall not surely die. Don't believe anything that your husband said. Don't believe anything that Yah said. Isn't that what they're telling the Judah women, the so-called the Hebrew Israelite women? Your black man ain't no good. He's worthless. He don't care about you. Come to us. Oh, not us and our men. We don't, you can't have our men, and you can't have our women, but you can have our system of oppression. And we'll keep raising up pharaohs for you called presidents and make you think that one is different than the others. So you keep on coming back over and over every 4 years and empowering a system that's intentionally put in place to keep you at the bottom of the economic ladder and pushing some of the most horrific, evil wickedness known to man. They're enforcing those agendas on us. Black boys, black men, so-called Israelite men and boys, Hebrew Israelite men and boys in dresses, girls, acting like men teaching girls. Remember those Gillette commercials last year where they had the father teaching the daughter how to use a razor to shave her face? You remember that? Even Esau jumped on Gillette's ass about that when they say, oh, no, you're going too far. You're going too far. Pull it back, son. Pull it back, son. Pull it back. We don't want them to see how wicked we really we are. That's for the darkness. That's for our secret societies. Our Masons and, our Bilderbergers and our CFRC, what is, whatever. It's for all of our societies, our boulets. That's the boule secrets. We can't have you sharing that shit. Pull that back. You're going to expose us. After all, we like the dark so that we can keep on doing our wickedness. What darkness? Keep them ignorant. Keep them thinking that the lesser of two evils is good. Now, let me bring this thing back. Let me start coming on back so we can finish this thing, bring this thing on back home, sisters and brothers. Because we're in a battle. And I'm bringing this forward because Yah is put it upon my heart to tell you Esau is your enemy. He's never going to be your friend. He can't be friend. No more than Satan, the serpent, could have been friend to Eve. There's entity between the two. The seed of Yah, us, and the seed of the serpent, them. It also talks about that in Genesis chapter 4. These two seeds will be a perpetual war with each other. There will never be a reconciliation. White people, Esau, embracing black life is a lie. It's a form of deception. It's not in them to love you naturally. That's why they put up a charade, a parade called protest. But they do nothing but become antagonistic. They create the necessary hostilities to keep the issue on what's not the issue. In other words, the issue is on stop killing blacks versus restoring blacks, so-called. Stop killing the Hebrew Israelite and restore the Israel. They don't want to have that conversation. So the conversation is just going to be some charade around stop killing blacks. And then they bring up these little so-called black militia groups. In fact, it's one of them. I would say niggers. I don't even give a shit about NFAC. Y'all know what the damn. I don't give a shit with this. And please don't leave it in the comments with the name. I don't care what the name of it is. They're nothing but double agents. Anybody in their right mind know that a military of 500 people can never stand, a militia of 500 people can never stand up against, with Esau right now, he's about 65% of the population. I'm not even talking about the military. I'm talking about Esau. He's about 65% of the population. You're about 13%, so you're told. We're about 13% of the population. And you try to make me believe that a nation that has more guns than people, that somehow another 13% of the population is going to be able to fight against an army with their guns. I'm going to give their guns a number 2. So if one man has 3 guns, I'm going to multiply one man by 3. So a nation of about, 13% of a people, probably about, I don't know, number maybe 30 million of you, can beat an army in excess of about 250 million. And they're armed to the teeth and got every weapon that known to man, including drones that'll wipe out them 500 in about 10 seconds if they wanted to. And they got you buying into this stuff and thinking that these people mean something. No, these people are just, again, agents to distract us. Where was info when we talk about reparations? In fact, where isn't in fact talking about reparations? Or you put your hands on it, we're going to fight you back. But they ain't fired a bullet. They had a confrontation in Kentucky yesterday with white militia. And somehow or another, they all were, like Rodney King said, found a way to just get along. Isn't that interesting? They're badasses with their guns. The best they could do when they were confronted by white militia is just, hug it out. They just hugged it out. Even the police stood back. Police said, we don't have nothing to do with that. We're going to stay far enough back because we don't want to antagonize. The police, these hostile devils, decided to stand back because they didn't want to create any hostility for so-called black men with guns. And you guys are buying into this thinking that this is a legitimate movement? Man, you've heard me say this before. Let me say it to you again. If you buy into that, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona that I will sell to you very, very cheap. Write me, and I'll tell you where to find it. Oh, first, but you're going to have to pay me up front. And I'm not going to send you a return envelope or a return address. So just send me the money, and whatever happens, you know, you should be okay with that. After all, you believe in this bullshit. So certainly you can believe the bullshit that I just stated. That should be easy pill for you to swallow. No, these are government agents that are there, again, to distract us from the thing that we should be focused on, who we are as a people. They don't want you to know who you are, because once you know who you are, then the earth becomes yours again. The scripture tells us clearly, 2 Ezra 6:9, that the end of the world is Esau. Esau is the end of the world, and the beginning of the new world is Judah, you, me. And they don't ever want you to know who you are, because once you find out who you are, then you realize that all these things that were stolen from you, Yah is going to restore you with. And they know it. They know it. Maybe not the low-level ignorant crackers, as they call themselves, trailer trash. They may not know it. But trust me, the boule amongst them, the elite, the top 10%, the 1%, all over the world knows exactly who you are, and they know exactly where you are. And that's why they got their foot on your neck. Think in terms of Brother Floyd. That's why they got their knee on or foot on your neck. That was not a slip of tongue. That's why they got their foot on your neck to make sure you stay under their heel, because ultimately, as Yah told the serpent, that Eve would have her foot on their necks. In other words, Judah, through Adam. The Hebrew Israelite is supposed to be the other way around. But that will never be until we as a people come back to who you truly are. And on one accord, I might add. And according to scripture, unfortunately, that may never happen. At least for us as a total people. But there will be a remnant, the elect. Yah talked about that through Yeshua in Matthew 24. He said, for the elect's sake, the ones of you who are listening, who are hearing with their ears and seeing with their eyes. He said, for your sake, I'm going to shorten the days, because if I didn't shorten the days, you're going to be swallowed up in this debauchery as well. You'll be walking around and talking about two men should marry each other, and that Planned Parenthood is in the best interest of our women by murdering their own children. With male consent, I might add. The Hebrew male consent. Because I don't see no Hebrew males walking around no Planned Parenthood stations that all within a mile of every black community, major black community in America. I don't see the men standing out there. Take them damn guns, in fact, and go over to the abortion place if you really want to protect the people. Why don't you get out in front of there and protest? Let's see if the police stand back then. Let's see if the police stand back then and let you stand in front of these abortion clinics and not let our sisters go in there to kill these babies. Let's see then if they stand back. I got a feeling they're going to run you clean off the goddamn property. Because that is a genocide factory, intentionally to exterminate your people. You talk about what so-called Hitler did to those Khazarian Jews, whatever they call themselves, the so-called millions that he killed in those gas and those death camps. That's got nothing on the death camps called Planned Parenthood right there in your communities. So why aren't the men in front of those places with guns saving those babies' lives who have yet to come out of their mother's wombs? I'm talking about real live children inside of their mothers. I'm not talking about this is not a perception here. I'm talking reality, true talk here. Why aren't they in front of there saving those babies? If black life truly matters, why isn't Black Lives Matter standing in front of these abortion clinics? Because it doesn't matter. It's a deception. They're hoodwinking you to get you off of, first, recognizing that the debt that's owed to you, that you get your mind off of that, to distract you like a little kid that's crying, and mama come and give him a little piece of candy or something sweet to quiet them down. But it doesn't do anything for their problem. It just quiets them down. That's what these so-called movements about. In fact, Black Lives Matters and the rest of these lost cause movements, strictly placed in place by Esau to throw you off the path. And many of us are being gullible, getting into these political systems without holding these people accountable for their actions and making them clearly do. But they're not going to do it. And I get it, but that don't mean you shouldn't be putting pressure on their asses. They're not going to restore us. Y'all gonna have to do that. But he didn't tell you to keep quiet about it. He didn't tell you to suffer peacefully. He told you to rise up and speak up and cry aloud. Spare them not. Speak against this debauchery, this wickedness, from killing our children to causing our men to transform into women and our women to transform themselves into men. Because Satan, again, 2 Corinthians 11:14, transformed himself, and now all people are metamorphosing and transforming themselves just as Satan has done. I got to wrap this up because I don't want to run out of time, and I definitely don't want to do a part 2. I'm going to go to Daniel chapter 12, verse 4 real quick. And then we'll be done. And I'll be back later today. So any guys, if you want some more meat, I got some more for you later. Daniel 12:4. Say, but you, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book. Talking about this book. Hide it from them. Seal the book until the time of the end. For many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. That's why all of a sudden we're recognizing who we truly are according to our book, through biblical history, our real history, because the knowledge is being increased. So don't reject knowledge, those of you who are struggling with this. You're rejecting knowledge if you're struggling, talking about it does not matter. Even the Ophir Esau said your life matters, but you're saying your life don't matter when you denounce the fact that Yah is you and you are Yah. You are the very image and likeness of our Creator. And let me finish up with, let's go to John, the book, the so-called Gospel of John. Go to chapter 16. All right? And we're going to start reading real quickly. Chapter 16, we're going to go to verse 13. Yeah, got about 1 minute. And it says here, howbeit, he said, when the Spirit of truth, what is the truth? Yeshua said, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Right now, you're being hoodwinked by these double agents, guys, in this political system that's lying to you that they got your best interest in mind, Biden and Harris. He said, howbeit, when knowledge is increased, or the Spirit of truth is come, it will guide you into all truth or knowledge. For he shall not speak of himself, but whoever shall hear him, that he shall speak. In other words, he's going to tell you the secret. He's going to show you what they're hiding from you to keep your mind off of what you should be talking about. Reparations, restoration, paying a debt, true deliverance. And he shall show you things to come. Prophecy. Letting you know this is the end, guys. It is the end. 2020, open your eyes. 2020 vision. This is it. It's over. But you got work to do, Judah. And you had best get about it. You better be about it. Don't talk about it. Be about it. Yah bless us. Yah protect us. Yah shines his face upon us. Yah give us mercy and grace. Yah put your countenance around us. And Yah give us peace.